Okay, good evening and welcome to the City of West Bend Community TV Committee meeting for February 10th, 2021, 5 p.m. We'll call to order, and I need approval for the minutes for the Community TV Committee regular meeting November 11th, 2020, 6 p.m.
Motion to approve the minutes.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. On to action/discussion items. I think the first thing on that department is director's report.
Yeah, so we're going to run through our quarterly, which we usually do, and we'll have Nicole do that, but just in front of you is a summary piece that we put together to kind of give you an idea of what the full 2020 year looked like for the team.
Summary placemat.
Summary placement.
I like it, yeah.
Yep, how you can frame it, you can, whatever you want to do with it, you know, eat a nice fancy meal. But it was just kind of helpful for us, like we've been doing a lot of talking about goal setting and looking ahead to 2021 and beyond, and it was kind of nice to be able to just go back and look at where we went in a year. I feel like we went really far, and it was kind of a really unique year with the pandemic and kind of changing a little bit of our department in terms of structure and services and, you know, and scope. So a lot went on, and I'm really proud of our team and the work that's been done and just like the momentum. I feel like we've been growing throughout the year. So
Just between the increase in social media presence and marketing pandemic related, just those two things alone are incredible, but you guys have been doing so much more. It's awesome.
yeah, thanks. Yeah, I mean, it's really exciting, and it's, you know, something I hope everybody's proud of. So you can see in some of the stats here, I mean, we continued on with some of our major programs like the Business of the Month videos and the city, and added in a lot of other programs like the pandemic-related PSAs. So like there were a couple ones that were specifically for elections and helping get people to understand like how they can vote and what to expect at City Hall. And we have a new clerk's office, and like, you know, what things we're doing to make it safe and accessible and all those things. So that was really neat. We had, you know, positive feedback there. There was sort of a development during COVID video that came up, and you know, it just, it all was really great, and I feel like people really responded well, and we did take a pretty aggressive approach to growing social media, and now with Nicole is here, we can continue to do that and do it more strategically even, so that's great. We also, at the bottom, we don't really have any stats, but we created a new email communications platform with the city, so that we send Jay's weekly email out, Parks and Rec monthly e-blasts, and then specialized emails. So we send like holiday ones. We sent a specific one to all potential developers on wonderful opportunities in the city and kind of like a holiday roundup. But it provides us with a whole bunch of information on the back end, like reporting, and we can see, you know, which developer clicked on what, and you know, it's actually really helpful in being able to follow up and be smart about what we're doing. And yeah, but I think this big one, I mean, John and I were just talking about it before the meeting, is 120 virtual public meetings. I mean, the pandemic really changed the way our team needed to work last year with WebEx and Zoom and Microsoft Teams, like every platform from every location. And I feel like it, you know, only just made us smarter and able to accommodate more citizens in, you know, that setting. And, you know, John can talk about the Castus. That was kind of our biggest major undertaking last year, and along with all these other things. So just want to give some props to the team and say, like, good job, and thanks to you guys for all your support.
Absolutely. Awesome.
So I'll pass it off to Nicole and John to go through this report some and just highlight the final quarter of the year.
Awesome. Thank you, guys.
Yep.
Okay, so the final quarter, of course, was October through end of December. Starting with Facebook, we hit a little over 17,000 followers, which was a growth of 15%. So we ended the year pretty strong there. I think Jess had said that was one of the goals, was to get over, 16?
Hit the 17 mark,
17 by the end
so
of the year, so we
did.
did.
Just got it.
Yeah.
Great.
And we're gonna keep going and keep growing, and hopefully we can hit maybe like 20 this year.
Yeah.
Seems like a realistic goal.
Yep.
So we'll see what happens there. Our top post was Soup Corner. People really love welcoming new businesses, so that one was super well received.
Super.
The soup corner
It's hard
as well.
not to do that.
Someone has to,
Yeah,
someone
it
has
Totally
is.
to.
intentional.
Sorry to interrupt, but with that soup corner, Jess was talking about this earlier when we were kind of just talking about how well that posted, but it really affected that business immensely.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys could go into detail a little bit more, but that post really
Almost in a.
Yeah.
helped them out.
No, we've been like
Backwards, right?
doing all these
Yeah.
like trying to drive awareness to new businesses of all kinds, or businesses that are expanding, or they moved locations, or whatever, milestone moments, I guess. And this one was awesome because when we did the post, like they had like, I don't know, 150 followers at that time. And like by the end of the day, they were like well over 1,000 followers. And like,
That's great.
there was so, I mean,
They ran out of food.
they totally ran, they had to
Yeah, I was
shut
there halfway
down.
through the day and they were almost out then.
I
Yeah.
felt bad because like it was like overwhelming, but it was really cool, and I think the community has embraced them, and you know, it's cool to have an impact.
Yeah, people love them.
Yeah, it was dramatic.
I follow the Washington County restaurants page, and people
Yeah.
post about going to Soup Corner like weekly, so
Yeah,
it
yeah,
definitely.
that's awesome.
And we try to utilize those other pages that are like really popular, like that restaurants one in particular, to post. If we post something about restaurants, like a new business especially, or a business of the month, like always try to get it in
Yeah,
there
share it on
too,
there.
just to like double its
Double it up,
reach
yeah.
and yeah.
Yeah, and we highlighted even more businesses in our holiday video, which we released in, I think, around November. Persuading people, I guess, encouraging is the word I want, to support local, shop local, gift cards, restaurants, all that stuff. So that was our other really well-received post. Again, hoping to get people into these businesses and supporting local as much as they can.
207 shares is
A lot of shares.
probably one of our greatest shared videos,
Yeah.
or at least top 10.
That is a lot of shares. I didn't
That's,
even-
Yeah.
yeah, so
I
that's
didn't
really,
even notice that.
that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Very well received. And going on to our Instagram page, we gained 175 followers in those 3 months, so that was a growth of a little over 7%. People really love the holidays around here, I guess. So our tree lighting post was the most popular. The second was welcoming Antidote downtown. So again, people really loving welcoming new people and exploring new businesses. Twitter, we had 23 new followers, a 1.8% growth. We had a couple of cool things well, not cool things, but we had a takeover. I did an Instagram takeover, I think, in November. So I was on Engaging Local Government Leaders Instagram page, which I think helped give us a couple extra followers too. So I basically was on their Instagram. They promoted it on their Twitter as well, posting pictures, telling everyone about West Bend, and they're like a national Instagram account. So it was people from all over the United
neat.
States
What
seeing.
Instagram account?
Engaging Local Government Leaders, ELGL.
Okay.
So we got to do that. They promoted it on their page, so we got a couple followers actually on Instagram too from that. So that was apparently one of our top tweets, as well as the Merry Christmas video that John created.
That we did,
Yeah.
And then the acknowledgement of Steve Hogester. A lot of people were paying their respects via social media as well, and that was a very well received acknowledgement online as well. LinkedIn, we had 25 followers, which is a growth of 4.3%. Another big business push there. People really loved seeing all that. So we had Welcome Dunkin', which people very much loved. And then Business of the Month featuring the Norbert, which is another very well-loved establishment in the community. So those were our statistics for our social media pages. And then we're jumping into community television, which, John, you could probably...
Sure, I can
Hold on at
touch on
this
this. You guys can kind of look at the statistics there with our live views. We're still continuing to do live broadcasts on location with the school district, and that'll be a continuation throughout the year at the high schools. It's been kind of determined, which is nice. We've kind of got a good system down with our equipment there. Our equipment is actually housed at the school, high school right now, so it makes it a lot easier for us to kind of get in, set everything up, and it even allows us, we did this past week where we broadcasted a basketball game on Friday, took it all back down to the auditorium and set up for a meeting on Monday. So just having that kind of flexibility and mobility has really been beneficial, where at times it's kind of been a drag, a touch, because it's so much equipment. You got to go back and forth, back and forth. It's really been nice to have the school district allow us to kind of make a little temporary home for the time being. So that it's always a well-received live broadcast of the school district. It's been very consistent throughout the year, I think since we started doing them in August at the high schools. And speaking of that, I bring to YouTube, which is where we house our big live broadcasts. We also do our broadcasts on our VOD site and cable as well, but we've increased to doing it on YouTube as well this year for sporting events, school district meetings, and that's really taken off. We really, this past quarter, with the 173 subscribers is really great. But if I can direct you to the yearly statistics, we had a growth of 297% on YouTube of reaching 471 followers. Even in this past quarter, last quarter we kind of mentioned that our audience was not just in the United States, that we were reaching kind of a worldwide audience from a very, very small. I'm not going to blow us out of proportion too much, but
But it's interesting.
it is interesting. It is, and it's really interesting to see why so many people are kind of reaching out to us from different places, and it's partly due to people from West Bend might not living here anymore, and our content also being suggested by YouTube. So it's getting eyes out there a little bit past our city, which is kind of nice. So this has been a really good bright spot in our broadcast, and has really encouraged us to kind of look at different more live broadcasts when we can. So that's what we chose to do this last Friday. It wasn't an East-West game that we did, but it was just a basketball game that was for a conference title, and we thought, you know what, let's try it, let's do it. We're going to have a great audience for it, and we did. We had 230 viewers at the peak for it, which was really, it was our highest basketball game of the season. So seeing that growth, especially on YouTube, and utilizing this tool has been really beneficial this past year for us. And it's something that we're going to continue to kind of look at to see what else we can branch off with this streaming platform, what else we can do with it now that we've kind of got comfortable doing these broadcasts and everything like that, and we know we have an audience now. Let's see what else we can kind of move forward with this. So
That's really great,
yeah, it's really been nice to see, and it's really a good kudos to our broadcasting team, Tom Stoff and Barry Hirsch, who do all of our live broadcasts. Those guys hadn't done one until this year, and now they've done a lot, which is great. And they were very welcoming to the fact of doing this, so they deserve a lot of credit, and so much so that they can do it themselves now. So we've been able to train them enough where they can do this on their own, which is really nice. And they've done it successfully a few times now, so it's really great to see our team kind of embracing this and expanding out a little bit, and they seem excited about it, so am I.
It looks like there's a lot of room to grow there too.
Yeah, there is.
As much as it's grown, there still seems like we've got, in the tens of thousands of followers on Facebook.
And that's
and 400 here, so it seems like that. It's a much different thing, obviously, but
right, and I think that's one of the things where it's been nice to kind of see that cross promotion with our Facebook page, because looking at the analytics, a lot of our suggestions come from Facebook and Instagram and text messages, so people are sending this mobilely mostly, which is kind of been beneficial to see. People have really caught on to this, and it's been great that we've been able to provide this service in a time where people can't go to these events and stuff like that, but they'd still watch them. So we've got a good grandma and grandpa here in Florida that have watched all of our stuff and let us know. So
and there's an opportunity for people to comment and stuff.
Yep. There's a live comment section on YouTube. So especially, I think you see it more with our football games, where people would check in and be like, "Hey, I'm here," and the live chat for those were a lot, some of it good, some of it not so good. But
I was going to ask if that ever gets inappropriate. Is there a way of
sometimes,
policing that? Or?
Yep, there is.
Okay.
typically,
Yeah.
I'll monitor it for the first little bit just to see how the, room's going.
Yeah.
But YouTube does a fine job of flagging any comments like that
Okay.
out of the gate. So
Okay.
if there's anything really egregious, we really typically don't have to worry about policing it as the platform will kind of
Catch
take
up
care of
before you
itself.
even would.
Okay.
Okay.
Nice.
So that's kind of been nice too, and at least our audience, it seems like it's been mostly cordial, so
Yeah.
I haven't had to worry too much about that, but yeah, so there's definitely room to grow here with our live broadcasts and looking at our goals for the next upcoming year. It's something that we're hoping to really take advantage of the success that we had this year.
Nice.
Oh.
Good deal. So,
Yeah.
so any more questions from anybody on any of this stuff? I don't know if, I was gonna suggest this as maybe something we could talk about in the next meeting.
Yeah.
But it might be appropriate now just to bring it up. As you can imagine, I have conversations about the city all day long behind the chair.
Yeah.
And I get all kinds of compliments, but also complaints and concerns. And I had a prominent local business owner that you all know, very kind of outspoken, in my chair, and sat down screaming at me about raising taxes.
Yep.
And I sat and, we discussed it for about 10 or 15 minutes, and he explained why and what and where and all that. And he said, see, now you guys have to figure out how to market that, because I know, because he's an intelligent guy, he was kind of kidding, yelling at me, but I know that there's good reason for this, but without understanding why, this looks bad. You guys
Right.
got to get better at telling us. So is there a way that we can use this department to maybe market
Definitely.
some of the more controversial things that we know are coming out?
So
and
one thing we
maybe
did,
offset a certain other
Yeah.
media individual that might,
I
if there's some way we can contest that, I don't know.
yeah, that happens a lot, because sometimes people,
And I know to some extent there's
or,
nothing you can do.
sometimes they happen. So this time, with that, right, it was a little more after the fact with the, information. So the tax rate went up, and we sent an annual report out for the first time ever, kind of explaining where your tax money goes.
Yeah,
But it may not have explained necessarily, why is it changing? What is it going to cover? Or,
Right.
what's the process? So,
Yeah.
I think it's a great suggestion, just to, have something out there that it better explains to the public, what is the budget process? And, how can you be involved? Or what kind of questions? Who do you direct your questions to? And so I think we could work on that throughout the year more.
yeah.
So that it's
Right.
not so,
Well, because we've
every
got-
October comes surprise, because those
We've
numbers
got
are
such a-
presented in
a
July.
Yeah, we've got such a consistent good reach
Yeah.
now, these tools that we've got thousands and thousands of people that we can talk to
Right.
pretty quickly and immediately.
Yep.
It makes sense that if we use that. This
So
guy
it'd
just,
be
it
something
makes
to
so much
really-
sense when when we
Yeah.
got this whole conversation at the end, I was like, well, of course we should.
So it'd be something really great to probably start, be thinking about now, but as we hit July, when we have a kind of a draft of that budget and start looking at it, we can better prepare for messaging throughout the fall,
Yeah.
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 and sort of where people are coming from and all of that.
Yeah.
Of course, people are always welcome to attend a public meeting, and
Right.
but
Right, no,
it's
it's-
harder
you
to
have
do
to
that.
remind, you have to
Let's be
remind a lot of,
realistic. What's that?
Yeah.
you have to
But
remind a lot of people too that these meetings are available online.
Yep.
Yeah.
Pretty
So
much,
that's
if,
something
and if
we're
it's
trying
not
to,
live, it's available
Get out
pretty
there
quick.
more, and I think we could do more of that. Is
Yeah.
remind people, especially when there's a major meeting coming up. And,
Yeah.
and we did have a few public information sessions that people could literally write in live or text in and call, and we did a
Okay.
few of those
That's
last
scary.
year. But as we look, this is a really good learning year
Yeah.
too for going that way.
Yeah.
But
That's a
one thing
great
we
idea.
recently did was Public Works had been kind of getting some feedback on snow removal services.
I noticed that, yeah.
Yeah,
That was
and
really
so
good
we had
info.
some, things to do over the holiday time with some, lots of questions and comments coming in on things. And so we developed an FAQ page on the website this is like a multiple team effort and coming up with this content. What are people like wondering about and asking about, and trying to like make it really clear online, kind of like what's the process and how does it all work, and
Great.
when does my street get plowed? Like here's how
Yeah.
it goes.
Yeah.
And we also created like an infographic to kind of show the process or their operations
Great.
to like get it out there in advance of the next big snowstorm.
Yeah.
And we posted that like a week or so ago before the last snowstorm, and it was like 46 positive comments, which
Yeah,
is
awesome.
That's
like
good.
compared
That's
to the
awesome.
last
Yeah.
thing we had.
Well,
Was like, hey, at least that was something to
we're
help
just now
people.
starting to appear in social media to the extent where it's actually practical.
Yeah.
We can
Right.
talk to the city and the city can ask questions and
Right.
stuff like that in a real way. There's not just like 3 people in the basement out there,
Right.
like it was even 10, 15 years
Yeah.
ago,
Right.
It makes sense now, so.
Yeah, and people do. I mean, they write in about anything. I mean, private messages to the page. And so that's why it's been so helpful to have our team all able to, know what to do and who to communicate with and give
That's
people
fantastic.
information quickly, so that they're not like, well, reached out to the city and I didn't hear from them. When they reach out to the Facebook page, and they are going to hear from us.
Yeah.
Do you guys have sort of a dedicated process or form or anything when you do get private messages or public complaints online that you have to follow? Just, I guess like a protocol?
We do. We have
Okay.
we have a social media policy.
Okay.
I don't know if it's like super, like we have to respond within 4 hours,
Okay.
but like we're very responsive. Our goal is to always respond like within that day or
Okay.
within a day. Oftentimes it's right away because
Okay.
we're all connected so often and we see something. And a lot of times it's simple questions
Yeah.
like, where do I find out about park and rec classes? And that's easy enough for like,
Yeah.
Nicole just send them the
Send
URL
them
and
a
they
link
say
and-
thanks and they're on their
yeah.
way. If it's like a complaint or something that's like, hey, there's a water main broken downtown.
Yeah.
Like somebody will send a message on Facebook.
Okay, instead of calling.
So
Okay.
then we can like kind of expedite that
Okay.
to somebody who needs
In
to
the
know
appropriate
and
department?
take care of it
Okay.
right away.
Very
Yeah.
much the kind of stuff you get as an alderman.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's just kind of general questions and concerns and stuff like that, which is great. And I'm glad people are feeling
Yep.
free to reach
Or
out.
we'll
It's a lot
offer,
easier
like-
to reach out through social media than it is to try to call
Yeah. Well, and they get a quick and friendly response
Right.
and
I think it's less intimidating for people
Right.
too.
It is.
Anytime
Oh,
you
for
can-
sure.
Anytime you can type it up.
right.
You know,
And
instead
we
of
try to offer
confronting
them
someone.
like whatever outlet it is that's
Yeah.
going to answer the question. So sometimes it's like people are asking, is the snow schedule going to be, or the garbage pickup going to be the same with the snow coming? And we can send them like direct contact to that department so that they'll get their answer right away instead
Okay.
of like try to figure out who to call. So in some ways we're just like,
Navigating.
yeah, like coordinating that and making it hopefully easier for people to.
And it probably
get what
helps
they
too,
need.
because then people can reach out right away if
Yeah.
it's after hours or overnight.
Right.
Good example,
We
I
do
was
have
walking.
an out of office on when it's
Okay.
like nighttime
Okay.
or like
Yeah.
off hours, and we still check it
Yeah,
over the weekends
because
and
I had
stuff.
to call in once, this is maybe a weird example, but I was walking my dog and there was basically a sinkhole in on one of our intersections, so I wanted to call someone right away, but it was, 9:30 at night, so I had to wait till the next morning, but obviously with social media, you can
You can
take care of that right
message.
away. if
Yeah,
you
we're
want to.
there.
Yeah,
Logged in.
someone will see it.
Sometimes at really late hours.
Well, you can
But
message.
you could
can
always
send
call
a
the
picture
police
and
department.
just
Yep.
text and call, right?
Exactly.
Especially if it was like a safety issue like
Yeah.
that, I would always like the police department's always available. Like,
Yeah, when I called the next morning, there were cones around it and everything.
Oh, that's cool.
Within like an
Yeah.
hour, so
right.
they were pretty quick. So,
Good.
no one fell in it as far as I
yeah,
know.
I think good idea with the tax piece. I think that's a really good.
Yeah, and just if because you look at any given agenda, well, not any given agenda, but certain items that come up on agendas that
That
you
you know
know
are
that's
gonna
gonna
be
be
hot ticket,
button or
yeah.
something. If
Roads,
there's some way
yeah.
we can, yeah. Or
Right.
even more specific stuff than that.
Definitely.
That we can get out, just get ahead of the message.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, especially in a small town like this too, the media options are very limited. So, I
Exactly,
mean,
yeah.
there's a
Yeah.
newspaper and there's a website.
I'd say I feel like we've been trying to do more is like control like our own voice and like
Yeah.
our
Yeah,
like this information is coming from the city. Like you're
Yeah.
hearing it here, you can consistently hear it from
Yeah.
us, and like if you have questions, you can reach out to us. Like because right, like we have no say on if like a reporter picks us up or not, like they might, but they might not, and so at least we can use this platform for like legitimate news
Yeah.
to citizens. You know, that's
Actual, factual.
factual,
Yes.
Exactly.
straight
That's
from the
important.
city's mouth. Yeah, right.
Uh,
That's kind of the beauty of it, though.
right.
It is something you hear a lot talking to people around town, though, is they just say, I don't know what's going on. And I
Yeah.
tell them,
Yeah.
there's Facebook, there's Twitter, there's all of this. and-
Website, yep.
Of course, there's a
Google-
certain amount of personal responsibility.
Yeah, I mean, Google
but-
West Bend and all of this, most of it, if not all of this, will pop up immediately. So there are
Yeah.
ways to find out, and it's
Yeah,
just,
exactly.
it's gotta be a challenge getting people to find them.
Right, get
If
used
they
to
don't
it.
necessarily,
I'm so glad we're
That'd be
getting
an
that kind of reach, though. It's fantastic.
Yeah, us too.
Yeah.
Anything else on director's report?
Sure, I can just run through a few quick things. AT&T will be repaired this month. We've been having some troubles with the encoder that we ordered, of it being faulty and then having to send it back, and then the wrong one being sent to us, we have to send it back. So
Lovely.
we're getting there. We've hired a technician with Key Code Media to help us install it. So he says once we get this piece that we need from the company, which is at no cost, it's all under warranty, he said it'll be up and going. So we just have to wait for it to get here and then we're good. And he says it's one of those things where we'll just be able to plug it in and you won't have to worry about it for years, so.
And that's a what now?
It's an encoder for our AT&T channels, so it sends basically our programming out through the AT&T specifics of their programming.
So have we not existed in that platform
Not for a couple of years, it's been really spotty.
because of the encoder thing?
Yeah,
Okay.
we got it up and going this past year for a few months, and then we got a virus on the encoder, the COVID-19 encoder virus, I think is what it's called, and it encrypted all of our files. So
That is a pesky virus.
yes, yeah.
It's everywhere.
man, machine, everything.
It's like,
But the best part about this is that he was really encouraged by this. He said this will be easy and it cleans up a little bit even more in our back room after the Castus cleanup. So we're able to clean up more wires and really make this an easy kind of transition into a cleaner back room of equipment. Bringing that up to my next point, once that encoder is installed and up and running, we're going to be looking at selling our old equipment. I didn't want to do so until I knew everything was up and running and I didn't sell the wrong piece or something like that before I needed it. So once that is good, then we can kind of start shopping that stuff to see what money we can bring back into our department through that, which will be nice. Through the technician that we work with, there's a lot of stations that are kind of in our similar situation and are looking for equipment. So we're leaning on him as a resource to kind of say, hey, West Bend's got stuff if you're interested. So I'm confident we'll be able to sell it. I'm not sure as to what the market is for this stuff.
Sure.
But I'm kind of excited to kind of put some time into it and see where this can go. So
Awesome.
once that starts, then we can move this other wheel in motion and really be in a good set. Speaking on broadcasts as well, one thing that was kind of nice that we did in this last quarter is we helped with a lot of virtual ceremonies and events, kind of going along with the virtual public meetings, but we were able to assist on either producing or shooting with the Chamber Business of the Year, the Roots and Branches Seminar, Veterans Day, the Jack-O-Lantern Drive-Through, the Tree Lighting Ceremony, Christmas Parade, and the New Year's Eve Concert at the Bend, which we all either produced or assisted in doing.
That was awesome. I watched it.
No,
Yeah, it was
good.
great.
It was
That was
really
fun.
Yeah.
That looked like you had a good time there. Yeah. I had a good time watching it. It was great.
it was a fun experience.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
the music was so good. Like,
Yeah.
it was cool being
It was
there
really
and
nice.
having your own private concert.
Yeah.
And it was something that I really liked to kind of make everything super local for us. A very local New Year's Eve concert that we got to
Yeah.
kind of house on our station at midnight. So that was
It
something
was
that I was
fun.
kind of super proud of. One, I did very little in the shooting process. I was just there to pretty much assist, but more or less to kind of host and get it to our audience, which I was happy to do.
Right.
With the live streaming that we did this past year, we also were a test recipient of the Castus stream key codes, going back to Castus, and what this would allow us to do is to broadcast directly to our cable channels from location, similar to what we're doing to YouTube. Right now, what we have to do is kind of a work-through situation to get our programming up on our VOD site and on cable when we're doing on-site stuff. And it's fairly simple. We just run the YouTube stream that we have through our council chamber feed, and then pick up the council chamber feed through our cable channels, and that's what goes out. So we were a test recipient of this. It went really well, but at this time, I'm not going to recommend purchasing the stream keys. It is an extra expense, but for what we're doing currently, I don't think it's the right time to do so. Maybe down the future, yes, but we're able to kind of make this work the way we are, and I kind of see this as an
So we're
opportunity.
functioning the same capacity anyway?
Yep, yeah, this would just make life a little easier as far
Okay.
as how we do it instead of the end results. The end result's still the same, it's just changing how we would be able to do this,
So that might be on the radar for. a
maybe,
couple
yeah,
years down the
I'd
road.
say in the next couple of years, it probably, I don't wanna say it would become a necessity, but it would certainly be something of looking at further, especially if we're gonna continue to increase our on-site,
Okay,
production,
that's
so.
the difference, okay.
Yeah, but yeah, so that was kind of nice actually to be a part of that test group. We worked a lot with Castus and kind of really got to dive into our new system a little bit. And going off of that, we're still not currently, but we're attending different seminars as well with the Castus group to kind of train us a little bit more on the system that we have, but also utilizing all the features that kind of come with this thing. So not just putting our stuff out there, but making it hopefully the most viewer-friendly environment that we can. So that's primarily one of the bigger goals that I have this year is really making that a big destination point for everybody where they can get all of their information, and it looks really nice. So,
Awesome.
and those have been really helpful seminars to kind of attend to. We're really connecting with a lot of people from across the nation as far as who's using this. So it's really nice to kind of see the different ideas, but they also walk you through a lot of different things to really understand how to use this stuff and to know what happens when things go wrong, which
That's
it
huge,
still
yeah.
happens, you know? So that's been really beneficial, and it's something we're gonna continue this year is to kind of take advantage of those free seminars that come up so we can hopefully keep doing some fun things to make the live broadcasts for our cable and VOD viewers just as nice if it was on YouTube or anywhere else. So that's kind of what's been keeping us busy this past quarter is doing a lot of those virtual ceremonies and events, and then also just really getting into stride with our new system. So
Nice. Do we feel like virtual is starting to, I mean, we're here obviously, you know, so do you feel like that's,
It's
Kinda moving in that
it's been
direction?
moving a little less, like common council meets in person now. We do offer still WebEx, if people want to have a presentation, or if like maybe we're working with a vendor or something and they don't wanna come here.
yeah,
That's become a little more normal, and I could see that continue on, especially as we have people presenting from out of state or, you know, far enough away, it's become easier, and
people have gotten a lot more fluid with
We've
the
got that-
technology, yeah.
yeah, down, I mean, I don't know, I think so,
yeah,
I mean,
I think we'll probably be seeing that for
Like a mix.
a long
Yeah.
time.
yeah,
I set up a WebEx meeting.
heyo, all right.
So, you know, it's gotta be easy.
Yeah, I think we can all set them up now in our sleep, and
Right.
it's kind of great that everybody can do it though, and
It is,
it's,
yeah.
I don't know, it's become a lot easier, and I don't know, for me, I mean, a lot of meetings have went from like, they used to be an hour, but now they're a half hour because they're a little more efficient sometimes,
Right,
or,
sure, yeah,
you know,
Yeah,
it's great.
yeah, it is, it's very good.
A couple other things just before we leave this topic is we're all working on lots of different projects and initiatives for this coming year. And we've met and talked about our own like personal goals and our team goals. And, you know, we set our budget in the fall with our department goals. You know, but there's a variety from like, you know, continuing on the work and that John's been doing with community TV and making things more accessible and all that that he just talked about. And Nicole is working on a really major project for the bid. I don't know if you want to talk about that a little.
We are working on crafting a nomination for West Bend to get nominated for the Historic District. So that's
For the
entailing,
downtown.
it is entailing a lot of photos, a lot of summaries about buildings and the architecture and everything. So hoping to get that drafted and hopefully submitted sometime this year. But yeah, keep everyone posted.
That's
on
a
that.
step in in getting designated historic?
Yep, so there's a
Okay.
lot of research involved
So
and
there's a
then,
nomination process
Yes.
involved there?
yep.
Interesting, okay.
And so instead of, the board considered hiring a consultant, and then we kind of talked about having Nicole's writing skills and as an asset, and decided to see if we could tackle it internally.
Okay.
And then if we need to pull in somebody on the outside, we can, or we
Okay.
can't,
Yeah.
but, so they set aside some money for that if we need some assistance, and then, as Nicole gets farther, the plan is to then pull in a small committee, with like the Tower Heritage Center, some bid members and a couple city employees to like make sure it's all,
Sure.
as it should be, with like some of the selections of contributing to the historic or not.
Yeah, right.
It's complicated project, it's a really big project, but it'll be
You're
really
feeling-
exciting.
You're still feeling like it's, as I know we did talk about this a while back.
Yeah.
And you're still
It's-
feeling like it's doable.
I think it's
Awesome.
doable.
Awesome,
Yeah.
good.
Want to double check a lot of details because it is such a big process. You want to make sure you're checking all the boxes off the bat instead of
Yeah.
sending it
Yeah.
in. They're like, you didn't do this right. So
Yeah,
just making sure everything is correct before moving forward, but I think it's definitely doable.
Good, good.
yeah.
Awesome.
And then like I've been working on the marketing communications plan for the city, so just starting that now. The Common Council went through the process of doing the strategic plan and then setting the strategic pillars. So sort of the next step in line was then the community survey that we just completed in January, and then now this communication plan that will pull from all that data and information and vision, and then put us out there even further. So I have a draft done of a survey that will go out to staff, because I'd like to acquire just staff and probably elected officials and maybe committee and board members. Because we already have community feedback, but not necessarily specific feedback for the plan itself, on helping me so I can craft some narrative and make sure that everything is aligned. So that is in the works, as well as the outline of the plan, and hope to be able to be in a really solid place with it by the springtime. So
Awesome.
yeah, so we all have lots of like collaborative projects and ongoing like business of the month and lots of things happening, and then we have our major individual things, and
All kinds of balls in the air, that's awesome.
yeah, that's exciting. A lot of big things in 21.
Great.
Do we want to get a financial report? Is that it
Sure.
for director's report?
Yep, that's all I had, unless you guys
Okay.
had any questions for community TV side. I know we have a few more slides here. Sorry.
Oh, yeah. So financial report, it's gonna be brief because it's February and we haven't spent a lot of money. This is the best time of year. We got all the money. So I don't have it closed out 2020. I would have included it, but Carrie Winklewauer, our finance administrator, said that she's not closing out 2020 until March. Which is fine, but so our next meeting, I can provide you with like our fund balance to date, and just kind of give you a summary of where we ended up for the year. We did really good in 2020, and we stayed within our means, and we did have a very large transfer from the fund balance to cover some expenses in PD and IT, but that was all planned back in 19, so it was all things that we were pretty much expecting.
Sure.
The Castus build out was one of our major expenses, and then so there were really no major surprises, which is great.
Yeah.
The only surprise, which I don't know if it's really a surprise, but it's just kind of the fluidity of the franchise fees moving forward, and some of the impacts that may have on our budget. So like John said, he's looking to sell some equipment, maybe looking to do some more various paid, opportunities for filming or partnering on things. And so we're kind of looking to get creative on how we can bring in funding to our special fund. Grants were a part of that last year. So we got some grant funding for the promotional videos that we did for the bid, and that was $12,000.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
So that was great. It was really more reimbursement money because we spent the money to promote, but it was awesome. It enabled us to do that and grow our audiences so much.
Sure.
And then so we'll continue to look for different grants that are available.
Was there, I don't mean to interrupt you, Jess,
Nope.
but was there enough success in that marketing program you did for the bid to suggest an ongoing
Yeah, it was
yearly,
fantastic.
like, just kind of a,
I am happy, I should have remembered to do it for tonight, but we do have a report specifically on that campaign
yeah.
that summarizes the, like, 3 videos and advertising and how it affected, like, especially the YouTube channel and
Sure.
and our Facebook and yeah, I mean it was great, and it was I mean I've compared it to other marketing plans that I've been looking at and seeing reports come out, and
Yeah.
and it really performed well,
Really
and so
good
I think
plan, okay.
yes, we could definitely continue to do that for the bid or just for the city, and so that's
Yeah.
my hope for the city communications plan is to do something a little more macro.
Yeah, but I just mean from an income standpoint, we might be able to.
Yeah, so that
get something else
funding,
to build on it.
so
Bid on a more
yes.
permanent basis, you know?
right.
Yeah, okay.
So the funding for that, so we don't have like an advertising budget, because our like department has changed kind of a lot in this 1 year.
Yeah,
So like maybe in the future we could look at that a little bit more. There's some marketing money that's like tourism specific, but that is used in a different area and different pot and for specific tourism related purposes. So like this one was a little more like business development. It could be a combo, I guess.
sure.
One way I think we could get money for that or allocate it differently in the future, maybe in our budget, would be like through joint effort marketing grants through the state.
Okay,
I've done them before. We did get a small one for the Dirty Ninja Mud Run.
okay.
But I think we could do one like campaign specific or
Sure.
for our annual marketing expenses. We
Yeah,
have to
yeah.
put some in.
Yeah,
It's like 25, 75.
okay.
So there's options, or we can look at kind of arranging things. I already have initiated a conversation with Carrie about the 2022 budget and adding a marketing line to address some thoughts there.
Okay,
So that's
Yeah.
great.
great, yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, so I will send you the marketing campaign summary for the summer bid stuff.
Yeah, that'd be really interesting.
And that money was technically a COVID
Yeah,
grant.
it was inspired by that,
It was
right?
like a
Yeah.
stimulus grant, yep, that was made available by the state, from the Department of Tourism and Department of Revenue. It was like a
Okay,
special
yeah.
purpose grant,
Okay.
which was awesome in helping us kind of recoup those costs that we were gonna spend either way. The bid
Sure.
was going to spend them, so, anyway. So you can see the financial summary, we have our budget that's proposed, and the revenue, I mean, we still don't have all of the revenue for quarter four of 2020 yet, for things, so, once we get into the quarter 2, I'll be able to provide a better snapshot of what that looked like. And hopefully we'll have a better sense of kind of what's all happening with franchise fees and things as we move forward. But I feel like that's a really solid projection, and that's what we were advised to go with. We also did receive in 2020 some income from the Routes to Recovery funds for our work on doing some of the videography for public meetings and such. So that was a nice give back to our department for those services. Expense-wise, we haven't spent a lot so far. The cable outlay one has a little asterisk because it's actually an expense, part of it is an expense that was planned for 2020, and then it didn't get billed until 21, so we've requested a carry forward for it, so it should be coming out after March, and that's what our hope is. And then there was like another expense in there that is a 5-year expense from IT that we're covering out of outlay. So we do a number of collaborative projects with IT and with other departments on like their technology
That's
needs.
one way to say it, yeah.
Yeah, right. So, so that has been most of our costs so far this year, along with salaries. So, but look, so far so good. I mean, totally open to ideas, and if you ever hear of any great grants out there or opportunities where you think we might be a good fit, like,
Sure.
keep us in mind,
Mhm.
you know?
Definitely.
Mm-hmm.
Great, good.
Yeah.
I know this is probably unrelated, but have we got any more interest in the south side industrial park?
The Milwaukee Tool,
Yeah.
the new one,
Yeah,
TID
yeah.
14.
Yeah.
Yep, so we have lots of inquiries and some more serious than others. We don't have anything proposed
Okay,
at
but
this
there's
time.
there's activity on it.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah,
you know.
so that's exciting, and Milwaukee Tool will be back in the spring to finish up their work, and then we will be working on building a new road there, so
Awesome.
that's really great.
Super exciting, yeah.
Yeah.
That's good.
So, yeah, lots of fun things going on the development side, and, you know, the brewery project we've been working a lot
Oh,
on, and,
That's
so,
awesome.
yeah,
Yeah.
That's really exciting.
yeah.
Any questions about the finances? No?
Not at this point.
Any thoughts on what we might want to discuss in the next meeting?
Yeah, open to agenda items outside of our regular reports.
Yeah. I mean, maybe talk a little more about how we market to the city when we got
Yeah,
weird stuff coming up that
sure,
might be good to get ahead of.
That
you
would be
know?
good, yeah. Something like that.
sure.
Just brainstorm about that a little bit, I guess. I mean, you guys are already kind of doing that, you know, but there might be a way to flag certain items and really get ahead of them, so.
Like a question and answer session or something, or something like that.
That's a thought, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've seen some things like that on
Yeah.
other municipal
Right.
social media accounts or web pages where sometimes they'll host a little, like,
Just a little
ask
thing.
your question. And
Exactly, yeah.
sometimes it goes really well.
Well, it could go, yeah.
Sometimes
That could
it
open things up.
goes,
Yeah.
could
Yeah,
go
it could,
better.
yeah. I mean, you could almost,
Yeah,
bring in, forward certain stuff to the appropriate alderman even.
Yeah.
I mean,
Oh,
I
for
don't-
sure.
I don't imagine any of the folks would be adverse to getting involved.
no, and there's a lot of times on, like, especially the Facebook, that's where we get the most messages,
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
on a Facebook page is, somebody will ask a specific question that's like in their area.
Yeah.
And so we'll find out like who their alderman is and try to
Sure.
connect them with that person.
Awesome, good, okay.
Yeah, or, say, yeah, this is a great question for your alderman,
Mhm.
something like that. And hopefully we
Right.
connect.
I do
them.
think it's important kind of moving forward to stress how easily people can keep up on what's going on at City Hall,
Yeah,
just on YouTube,
Mhm.
just on Facebook, because I don't think a lot of people think of
Realize
that.
it.
I mean, you can watch any public meeting
right.
very quickly, and
I know we were kind
I'd
of talking
love
about
to
like
get
we
more
should need
people
to like
doing that.
self-promote more, like
Yeah.
That's-
promote
yeah.
like the services that are like once in a while like a post will get thrown in that's about like, hey,
Yeah.
did you know there was a YouTube channel and you can watch all the meetings on there, and it's like I
Yeah.
think just like periodically putting things out there as like the audience grows. They haven't seen all the
Yeah.
content before,
Yeah.
so
Sure.
yeah, I think that's a good idea.
and then they can get it pre-spin.
Yeah,
Right.
Spin.
Right.
Watch all the
Or at
public
least
meetings you
The
desire.
city's
Yeah,
spin, you know?
Yep.
Well, because we put the actual content out there a lot on social media, right? Not
Yeah.
just a suggestion that you could find it, it's actually right here, kind of.
Here it
deal, right?
is,
You know?
yeah.
Okay,
Yep.
good.
Do you guys ever just share, on the Facebook page, the new common council meeting is up? Click on the link here to look at it, because I mean,
Right.
I don't necessarily-
Sometimes.
there'd be the balance between cluttering people's feeds with a bunch of videos they don't want to watch necessarily, but at the same time, it might
Like
get
inform
people
me.
used to looking for those and knowing how easily they can find them.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Yeah, we don't do it every time because there's a lot and it's
Oh,
on
yeah,
our
certainly.
homepage,
Yeah.
but I think it would be good to increase like
Yeah. I mean, even
awareness
if it's
and
just for
especially
common
in
council.
advance. Like
Yeah,
if you can't make it, you
Yeah.
can watch it
you can
or
watch it
you
here.
know.
Yeah.
In advance.
Yeah.
exactly, yeah.
Right.
I mean, even if it's just common council, that's
Yeah,
two
that
posts
would
a
be a
month,
big one-
and that's
bigger
not
one.
gonna grind people's gears too much if they see that.
Right.
And hopefully, ideally, you want more people to click on it,
Yeah.
and realize
Yeah.
they can see the meetings, they can skip ahead to whatever agenda item is important to them, they don't have to go to a 2-hour meeting, they can watch the 15 minutes that
Right. And they
is
can just
relevant to
log
them.
off.
Yeah,
I think the more
Tune
you
out.
engage with your city, the more you feel like it's yours.
yeah, exactly.
Very true.
Yeah, great. Yeah, I think that's a great suggestion. We can definitely incorporate that.
entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second?
There you go. All in favor?
Aye. Not too many options
Awesome.
tonight.
Yeah.
Yeah.